approximately 100 women and girls who accuse the former MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor of sexual assault will share their remarks before he learns his fate in Ingham County.
Our Alexander Illich was in the courtroom today. What can you tell us about it, Allie?
Well, Sherry and Lauren, 28 women shared personal stories in court today, each of them revealing how they came to know Larry Nassar. It was certainly a very emotional day, to say the least. The courtroom was packed, and at times people were passing Kleenex boxes. But despite all the negative that has come out of this, many say for the first time they're feeling empowered because for once their voices are being heard.
Perhaps you have figured it out by now, but little girls don't stay little forever. They grow into strong women that return to destroy your world.
Victims of former MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar got the chance to face their perpetrator in a packed courtroom today. Some of them addressing him for the first time since they were first abused.
The number of people whose lives you've altered does not stop at the victims. It has also impacted the people closest to us in our lives. We have no choice but to watch them suffer from this too.
They brought their statements to the podium, one after another, each of them feeling more brave than ever. MSU released a statement saying the university, including President Luanna K. Simon and Board of Trustee Chairman Brian Breslin, have been viewing the brave women who have come forward to tell their stories. The statement says that, quote, words cannot express the sorrow they feel for Nassar's victims, and the thoughts and prayers of the entire MSU community are these women with the women as they listen to their heartbreaking testimony. Now, there are dozens of women who are still expected to speak throughout the week. We will be in the courtroom for every single one of them and bring you the latest on this story.
It was day 2 of another heartbreaking day of testimony, and it wasn't only Nassar victims who spoke.
Alexander Illich was inside the courtroom today. She joins us now live in studio. Allie, what can you tell us?
Lauren and Sherry, more women who spoke out today say they aren't staying silent anymore. Many, for years, thought they were seeing one of the best doctors in the area, only to find out years later that his treatments were not legitimate. Speaking out publicly for the world to hear is something they say is part of their healing process.
Silence. One of the most prevalent attitudes taught to young gymnasts and ingrained in the culture of gymnastics is silent suffering.
As we continue to learn more about the women and girls who are sexually abused by Larry Nassar, you hear a common theme.
I have felt anger, fear, sadness, anxiety, frustration, self-consciousness, and unbelievable levels of stress.
MSU President Luanna K. Simon joined the hearing this afternoon. Reporters and even victims of Nassar pressed her with questions.
I think there are steps being made towards accountability, and there are other steps that will follow.
Now, before today's hearing, the judge wanted to take care of some business involving a letter that Larry Nassar wrote to the court. Take a listen.
Judge Aquilina is seeking media attention over court protocol.
Day 3 of Larry Nassar's sentencing hearing started with the judge addressing concerns over a letter the former doctor wrote, calling for what he says was a cry for mental health.
Because of my heart, I passed out twice the morning of federal sentencing.
According to Judge Rosemarie Aquilina, Nassar said he was having issues with his heart and wasn't sure if he'd be able to sit through the entire week-long sentencing hearing listening to his victims speak.
This was a global resolution. I didn't want even one victim to lose their voice.
Let this sentence strike fear in anyone who thinks it is okay to hurt another person. Abusers, your time is up.
Another Olympic gold medalist takes the stand and tells the judge to give the maximum penalty to Larry Nassar. It's our top story at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jorma Duran. Lauren has the night off. Day 4 of the sentencing for former MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar brought more women and girls to the stand to share their stories of the abuse they suffered under the guise of medical treatment, telling the court how that abuse continues to impact their lives. Nassar has pleaded guilty to sexually assaulting a handful of women and girls, but more than 100 others say he abused them as well. Nassar's sentencing hearing started on Tuesday, and so far in court, we've heard from more than 70 people who say they're victims. We found out this morning, Weber says she's one of them.
I thought that training for the Olympics would be the hardest thing that I would ever have to do. But in fact, the hardest thing I've ever had to do is process that I'm a victim of Larry Nassar.
Sherry, for the first time since sexual abuse allegations surfaced about Larry Nassar, DeWitt native and Olympic gymnast Jordan Weber broke her silence. She was the first to speak this morning, and she started it by saying that she too was abused by Larry Nassar. Weber, who is now 22 years old, she's the fourth member of the Fierce Five squad to become public about the abuse. Reading her statement to a packed courtroom this morning, Weber said she was just 8 years old when she started seeing the famed doctor. But the treatments didn't start until she was 14 when she suffered a back injury. That's when she says Nassar began performing treatments on her, giving her candy while she spent time at the Caroli Ranch training. She said Nassar showed him he cared and that he was their friend. She said she never realized that along giving the gymnast candy and other things when they were hungry was a form of grooming that led to sexual abuse.
The sentencing hearing for former MSU and USA Gymnastics Dr. Larry Nassar is in its 5th day as more women step forward to tell their stories of abuse. Alexandra Illich has been in the courtroom since day one. She's here for you with the details from today's proceedings.
I am still ashamed this happened to me.
In rare form, Ingham County Circuit Court Judge Rosemary Aquilina is allowing dozens of women and girls who were abused by Larry Nassar to start their healing process as we head into the 2nd week of his sentencing hearings.
He would digitally penetrate me until I was sore and raw.
Today is day 5.
You made us all feel like we were special.
Meet 15-year-old Emma Miller. She's among one of the youngest to speak at Larry Nassar's sentencing hearings.
I, too, was sexually assaulted by Larry Nassar multiple times at multiple appointments. My last treatment was in August 2016. A week later, he was let go by MSU.
Standing with her mother by her side, she said she had some advice for Nassar, the judge, and MSU.
Mr. Nassar, do I look familiar to you?
During day 6 of Larry Nassar's sentencing hearing, the court was reintroduced to a woman whose statement was read last week.
I reported you to police immediately and had a rape kit done.
Her name is Brianne Randall. She's the woman who reported Nassar's abuse to the Meridian Township Police Department in 2004. According to the Michigan Attorney General's office, the Meridian Township Police Department flew her here so she could speak for herself.
I've just signed your death warrant.
Larry Nassar learns his fate in an Ingham County courtroom. It's our top story at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Lauren Thompson. We have team coverage for you tonight on what went down in the courtroom on the 7th and final day of Nassar's sentencing hearing.
Lauren, Judge Rosemary Aquilina sentenced Larry Nassar to 40 to 175 years on the 7 sexual assault charges he pleaded guilty to last year. This brings an end to the week-long sentencing hearing in Ingham County, where 156 women and girls made victim impact statements. The judge wanted to make sure their voices were heard, telling Nassar he does not deserve to look outside of prison ever again.
I've just signed your death warrant.
54-year-old Larry Nassar will spend at least 40 years in prison for sexually abusing dozens of women and girls under the guise of medical treatment.
Your decision to assault was precise, calculated, manipulative, devious, despicable.
The judge told Nassar his fate after 7 days of listening to more than 150 of his victims, their parents, and coaches make impact statements about how the abuse has affected their lives.
You played on everyone's vulnerability.
But before the judge handed down the sentence, Nassar had the chance to speak.
Your words these past several days, your words have had a significant emotional effect on myself and has shaken me to my core.
Twice, the once famed Olympic doctor turned to the court gallery.
I also recognize that what I am feeling pales in comparison to the pain, trauma, and emotional destruction that all of you are feeling.
You've gone off the page here as to what I'm doing. My page only goes to 100 years. Sir, I'm giving you 175 years.
Larry Nassar will never be a free man again. The former MSU and USA Gymnastics doctor learned his fate today.
The sentence followed 7 days of emotional testimony from his victims in Ingham County Circuit Court as they detailed the stories of abuse they suffered.
Our Alexandra Illich was in the courtroom today. Tell us what happened, Allie.
Lauren and Sherry, 40 to 175 years. That's how long Larry Nassar will serve in prison for pleading guilty to 7 sexual assault charges in Ingham County. And even though the former doctor admitted that he used his position to prey on young women and girls, the judge wanted to make sure he still stands by that.
Sir, you do not deserve to walk outside of a prison ever again.
Larry Nassar will spend his entire life in prison for using his power and authority as a doctor to sexually abuse young women and girls.
I also recognize that what I am feeling pales in comparison to the pain, trauma, and emotional destruction that all of you are feeling.
The once well-renowned doctor, beloved by so many, said he was sorry to the packed courtroom of victims he once preyed on.
I will carry your words with me for the rest of my days.
But before she sentenced the former doctor, Judge Rosemarie Aquilina once again brought up a letter that Nassar wrote before his week-long sentencing hearing.
What I did in the state cases was medical, not sexual. But because of the porn, I lost all support, thus another reason for the state guilty plea.
Because the letter was written after Nassar admitted guilt, it led the judge to question whether he knew what he did was wrong.
Would you like to withdraw your plea?
No, Your Honor.
Because you are guilty, aren't you? Are you guilty, sir?
I said my plea, exactly.
Sir, I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months.
Now, even though today wraps up the case in Ingham County, Nassar will still have to be sentenced in Eaton County, where he pleaded guilty to 3 sexual assault charges. That's set to happen next week. It's worth mentioning, too, that before he can serve time in the state cases, Nassar will have to serve his 60-year prison sentence on 3 child pornography charges.
Thank you, Allie, for your reporting tonight. It has been a whirlwind of emotions surrounding Larry Nassar.
For the more than 150 women who stepped forward to share their stories during the 7-day hearing, today's sentencing offers a bit of relief.
This is 6 News at 6.
How are legal What you just saw was the father of 3 of Larry Nassar's victims trying to attack the former gymnastics doctor in Eaton County Circuit Court.
Security tackled him to the ground and no one was hurt, but it certainly caused for some tense moments. Our Alexandra Illich was in the courtroom today. Tell us more about what happened, Allie.
Well, Lauren and Sherry, we've seen a lot of tense moments in court. Not one quite like this, though. I mean, some parents in Ingham and Eaton counties have gotten the chance to speak. Some parents have cried, some have expressed anger. But for one father, his emotions got the best of him.
But to you, Larry Nassar, I just hope you live a long, slow life in prison. I want you to know that you no longer hold power over me or my thoughts.
Randall Margraves, the father of 3 women who are victims of Larry Nassar, stood by his daughter's side this morning and heard for the first time the details of the sexual abuse they suffered at the hands of the former doctor.
Judge, would a distraught father have a chance to say something?
Once his daughters were finished, Randall asked the judge to speak.
You son of a bitch.
No, we don't want to swear.
This exchange took place between Margraves and the judge.
To grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
That's when things escalated.
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
Deputies in court sprung into action and tackled Margraves to the ground.
Get out.
You could hear people crying in the gallery as the chaos unfolded in the middle of the courtroom. Margraves was put in handcuffs and held in contempt. After breaking for lunch, Judge Janice Cunningham had Margraves brought back into the court to address the situation.
There is no way that this court is going to issue any type of punishment given the circumstances of this case.
Judge Cunningham told Margraves she could not charge him, but said this.
It is not acceptable that we combat assault with assault. We have to teach our children and other adults that when people do things that are wrong and they break the law, we handle that by using the legal proceedings to punish them.